The San Diego Code School is a proud sponsor of the Sorry for Helping podcast. The San Diego Code School is leading companies to tech equity. The tech-enabled apprenticeship program is a venture whose heart is to do a lot of social good and do good work. You can help San Diego Code School secure funding for change by hiring developers, bringing a team in to relieve your backlog, or becoming a program sponsor. You can visit us on the web for more information at http://stcs.io.
GoldenSquirrel.io is a proud sponsor of SorryForHelping.com. We're flipping the job search and hiring market on its head by having companies apply directly to you. You communicate what you'd like to be working on and what tools you'd like to be working with, as well as your desired salary. We'll keep it all anonymous till the employer reaches out for a conversation. If you'd like to be a little more proactive, you can search companies with benefits, tools, and the environment you're looking for in your next role. It's time to fix hiring. GoldenSquirrel.io.
So what are we talking about? We're doing summaries?
Yeah, I'm good to talk about two side things I'm working on if you have anything.
Nice. Yeah, I can give you a short update, but why don't you go first? What are you working on?
Well, for starters, I listened to the podcast with you, Neil, and you the other day.
What'd you think?
That was pretty solid.
Yeah. Try to give some shout outs, try to, reveal a little bit of the saga, but
It's always fun hearing stories third hand that you would never tell me the story in that fashion if I just asked you in person, because that would be weird. So It's always interesting to hear two other people talk about a story that went down. So yeah, that was good. And also I got a bunch of, a bunch being like two or three LinkedIn messages that were like, yo, have you heard the Michael Roberts and Neil podcast yet? And I was like, no, I haven't heard it yet. So I actually started listening to it because so many people were hitting me up on LinkedIn. It's like, dude, you got to listen to it. But then they wouldn't tell me anything about it. So 20 minutes in, I was like, I know all of this stuff.
Were there any nuggets that you're like, that you didn't realize that, or it was pretty much like old news?
No, I think it's interesting there wasn't any earth-shattering stuff. More of just, it's been interesting to hear some of your learnings with since origin, basically. So more to do with employers and apprenticeships and how people view apprenticeships, because we never really came at it from that angle. We always came at it from get a job, right? So I thought that part was interesting. And
I just remember we would have we would have disputes. We would have straight up disputes because we're both just like, I know we want to get people jobs. Well, I know you want to get people jobs. But you can't say that. You're like, well, why can't I? I'm trying to get them jobs.
Yeah. The thing about that is I still don't understand why that's not true, but
it's just how it sounds. It's just how it comes. It hits my ear. And I'm just like, you can't just say that is the response when someone says, this is really hard. And you're like, I know, I'm just trying to get people jobs. I'm like, yeah, we are, but we're also trying to make sure they keep their job. And you're just like, well, that goes without saying. But other people are just like, nah, the way it works in a lot of jobs is they just pump them in and they don't care if they get fired or if they lose their job or whatever. They don't know you. They don't know you genuinely want them to get not just a job, but start a career.
And I was kind of like, listen, why are we worrying about them getting fired? Because if they don't have a job, how are they going to get fired? Right? Let's worry about one problem at a time. So that was pretty funny. There was something else. I almost thought it would be. I actually thought it was. These are things that I knew and you and I talked about, but it was fun to listen to you explain things in a really careful way. For employers, why won't employers hire junior developers and stuff? And so I knew who you were talking about. And I knew all the players involved, right? And how painful that was for us. But it was just fun to hear some of those stories of have even more inside info than because you wouldn't want to actually say their name. That would be of no benefit. But it was just fun to listen to something where you're kind of an expert in. So that was definitely
It is, and it's also interesting to just like we both know Neil, and so it's kind of a friend zone. So you're not feeling like he's gonna like go after you. Um, but it's also like I listened to a podcast with like Jason Kalifinakis and Quincy Larson, and
Yeah.
Jason was just like getting fired up, and he was doing the whole like you should be getting money from companies and you should be getting paid, and like I'm going to put it out right now. By the end of this podcast, there's going to be like a sponsorship page, and your first tier is like 250, and this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, I know Quincy, and I'm like, Quincy's not vibing on this at all. And Quincy was just super quiet. He was just like, yeah, this is what we're doing. He just like completely pivoted. And so it's just interesting to know the two people like at a level where you like kind of know where one person's from and the other, and how they carefully do that dance of like, I'm gonna not embarrass you, but like it's not my vibe. Like that's not how we're rolling. And like, I don't know, it's just interesting, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think he should be making more money too, but that's fine.
Yeah, but he has a very philosophical approach of like, I actually feel bad for him. Today they were suffering from a DDoS this morning. So it's on Reddit. They were like, someone is banging on the free code camp forums and like trying to take the forum down. And I'm just like, that is like so evil. Like, why would you do that? This is somebody that's trying to like democratize code for the world. And that's like very specific. He's like, he doesn't run ads. He doesn't want to do any ad revenue. He's just like, he doesn't want to sell his leads. And so it's just at the end of the day, he just wants to be sort of like a purist and like, I'm just going to like give away all this knowledge and try and build up an organization, and literally fund it all with like small dollar donations from individuals. He's like beholden to no one except the mass of people that are just like, give me everything for free.
Right.
Like,
not a great set
bizarre.
of people to be beholden
It's
by.
not, but it's a philosophy. And then you are like the people of the masses, and you have to kind of like, you go with the herd of brand new people that have never coded before.
Right.
So. Cool. So are we gonna do your week, what your last week was like, or this week? What are we doing?
Yeah, we can do that. So for this week, I have a side thing that is, well, I'll forget about in 30 days, which is basically my buddy has a pet parrot. And so he started a TikTok account and got like 1 million views on one of his videos. You're going to like this. So my brother-in-law, who is 14, we always argue about whose dog is cuter. And so I was like, why don't we have a contest who can have a video with the most views in 30 days and then just probably stop using it or making videos. So we currently have a TikTok contest for the next 30 days about which dog can get the video with the most views over the next 30 days. So I am currently on video number 3. And it is shockingly fun, and the videos aren't great because I'm still figuring out how to edit it, because this is the first time I actually feel old on an app compared to like a 14-year-old where I'm like, I don't know how to do all this. So Dexter has his own TikTok account, Dexter the Golden Doodle.
Right.
And we're going to see if we can get some views so that's the one thing that's just stupid that I thought I would share, just in case like 2 weeks from now I'm like, bro, I got 1 million views on this puppy video.
You're so dumb, bro. You should have jumped in when I got in.
Seriously. I'm quitting my job and we're going pro, or however that works. So the actual side project is almost done. We'll probably be done by the end of July 4th. I'm actually talking to Kyle Simpson tomorrow.
So you said you're going to meeting with Kyle, and what are you guys going to chop it up about?
Yeah, so I got a call with Kyle tomorrow because it was probably like a month ago that I saw on Twitter where he wanted the employer to apply to the developer scenario. And so the main thing I'm curious about in his opinion is, what is a process that an employer could have that if you knew they had that process up front, you would actually enjoy going through the interview process, or at least feel somewhat appreciated by your skill set and by the company. And so I'm curious what that process would look like for him. I know we went through some of that with you last week of what you thought kind of the hiring process should be like.
Did I have any opinions? I literally can't remember.
I can't remember either what you said.
Great, let me do what I think it would be right now. Like, okay. what I would want to do.
Okay.
So I would want to initially have a conversation with someone on the actual team. So like they'd have to have someone from the team, not an HR person, like reach out to me. I would probably want to have like lunch at the site and like tour the campus and like find out like what would the work environment look like. And then I would probably want to like fly a desk and like work out of the office for a day and see like what the vibe is for like the rest of the day. And maybe have like a, you know, like a mob session or something where I actually got a chance to like work with some team members. And I think that would be enough for like us to like vibe and figure out like, okay, this would be a cool shop to work in. Or like, nah, like your people are like terrible. Like, I don't want to work with these fools.
Right.
This is a terrible day. And I would spend I would spend the day because remember, like if I'm out and like looking for work, it's only going to be a few days. So for me, it's like, I'm not going to have to do any projects or anything. It's just going to be like, I'll like talk to a couple people that I know at different companies and be like, hey, are you guys hiring? What are you guys looking to do? And then I'd want to just literally see, is it a good fit? And they'd be able to tell the same thing. Like they'd be able to tell in just like a short on-site lunch where we just chop it up. And then I'll just sit in the office and just like fly a desk for the day and just like observe and see what they're doing. Like,
would you expect to be compensated any way for a day of your time? I'm curious.
No, because I'm getting lunch, right? And I'm gonna just work. I'm gonna bring my laptop. I'm just gonna work in the office. Like, hey, what's the Wi-Fi? And like, I'm just gonna like hang out here and see what you guys do all day.
Gotcha. How would they get you to the point where you were willing to come on site though?
I think in that initial call, like if we'd have a call and they're like, hey, these are the projects that we're working on. This is what we would see you like your involvement or you fit in the team. And if I like, I would already have researched the company and know like, okay, they got a good mission or product or whatever they're doing. That would be enough to say, well, why don't you come in for like lunch and then you can fly a desk for the rest of the afternoon. Like, that'd be enough for me.
Would you want to know? Would you want to know kind of the salary range up front
No,
before you
no,
physically went in?
I would expect that whatever, because like I would know that like whatever the range is, we're going to negotiate, and if you really want me, then you'll negotiate a rate that's like reasonable.
Okay.
So I mean,
would there ever be a time you'd go in for lunch and see the office and be like, "Nah, I'm good."
oh for sure.
Yeah.
Oh for sure. I'd be like, all right, listen, I just realized I got another thing I got to do. I got to dip out of lunch. My wife's paging me. I gotta go. I mean, I've been in jobs or like I have a conversation with someone. I won't say when, but I'll just say like I went in and I'm talking to them and kind of seeing what their operation looks like. And then they were like, we sort of have this like work-life balance thing that's part of our, and I was just like, nope, that's it. Peace out. That doesn't vibe with like what I think you should be doing as an organization. Like that's a bad philosophy. So that I think is just going to be terrible. And as soon as I see that, I'm just like, one of these days you're going to be putting chains on the door and I don't want to show up and like chains are on the door and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do now. Like that's going to ruin my day. So if I see any of that, like, I'm just like, nah, like I'm not the kind of person like I'll jump on the opportunity and then I'll keep looking for other jobs and I'll try and job jump or something. Like that's for the young folks to do all that kind of scheming.
Right.
I just want to be somewhere where we're going to build stuff and make people happy and all that good stuff.
I can actually probably do a product demo of where we're at in the next call.
Nice.
And so essentially right now, and this is kind of different than a lot of previous side projects I've started in that I don't have a super clear path forward of like, oh, we're going to do this and this and this and this. It's more of we're almost starting with like a nicer version of a job board, but a job board nevertheless, where developers can come and find specific jobs at companies that they're looking for. And then we can like go out and get that information and aggregate it for them.
Is this going to be open to everyone or is there like a minimum bar that you've got to be before you can get?
It's open to everyone right now because again, I kind of go back and forth on one of the steps of registration before you can see the jobs at the companies that you're looking for is you have the option to send us your resume and I'll just like help you as though I was somewhat of a recruiter because I already know how to do that. And, you and I specifically have been through that process with hundreds of people, right? So if I can add value to them and actually go out and manually help them find a company that they're looking for, then I can add more value than the piece of software would, but at least get a better idea of what it is that would help them along the way and how to prioritize the building of that product. And so that's kind of how it's built right now. Is everything we're kind of doing is going to cater to the developer and his job search, to his or her job search, that really making it so that, in theory, the end goal we're kind of wanting to get to is that they only have to go to one place to apply for jobs. And they can just come to this place and then be able to find the companies they want and then kind of manage their job search that way, essentially. Because then we want to kind of set a standard for what the employers are also going to be doing on the interview side. So when the developers apply, there's kind of like a standard set. And we don't know what that is. And we don't know the companies are going to buy into that. But that's kind of our whatever's good for devs scenario.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you said that whole interviewing thing, I'm testing out a product that I think is pretty cool. It's called screenable.co. And they basically have an app that you can download on your iOS or Android. As the employer, you list the job, and then you list the questions for the first interview. And then you go through and you answer the questions and record like a small video for each question. So this is going to help us because we have to screen like 50 candidates for the apprenticeship. And rather than having to schedule 50 individual sessions with people and phone calls, we can do the first round sort of like offline at our convenience, as well as the candidate's convenience, and then only schedule the panel interviews for like the next round. That makes sense.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty legit. If you have to like, I mean, in my opinion, this makes it way easier to screen more people. And you could even include like maybe some AI and like look for certain things and like help that like do a little bit of machine learning type deal, and widen your candidate pool and not just like be doing the same old like resume thing.
Right. So. No, that's pretty cool. So then do they have you, would it ask a question, then it'll get everybody's answer? Or does it ask like you all the questions and then I just watch the Michael Roberts video? You know
yeah,
what I mean?
right now it's like one individual person, but they're working on an API. So obviously if you were to integrate this into a product, then you could basically like send it out, let them record it, and then you could figure out how you want to display them and stuff.
So, that's pretty cool. I like that idea.
It's a good one. You know, I only work with the ones I feel like are like, oh, this is pretty legit. Like, I don't waste time with like, okay, this is broken. What are we doing here?
It's nice they're building an API too, because I feel like there's the problem we're trying to solve is I was trying to think, is it quality or quantity that we're going for? Like if a company wants 20, am I solving that problem? 20 devs like right away? Or if they want higher quality devs. And so we kind of came to like the KPI we're trying to fix is developer turnover, because developers are just not happy where they're at. And sometimes they have a hard time leaving and finding a better fit for their individual situation, personality, preferences, just because the information's not out there. There's nowhere that's like super transparent about, you know, like you have to go on site, and you know from experience that you can go on site and you can work with the team and you can filter out like 90% of the risks that way. But that's super tedious. Like it would be hard to say that statistically you're going to find the best opportunity going through that process, because it just takes so long to.
Yeah, you kind of have to know.
Like, right?
Yeah. Like by the time you get on site, you can tell. Like the last spot at Zito is like the CEO was out on the floor, right? So like he had a desk on the floor. Did I ever tell you the story of like when Matt Marson and my first day there on the job? I get in and I unlock my computer, and the office manager had set it to like that He-Man techno track to come on. As soon as I opened my laptop and logged in, suddenly blaring, and everybody turns around, and Matt Marson, like the COO, was sitting right behind me. Like the co-founder of the company was like at a desk, like arm's length away from me. And he turns around and he looks, and I turn around and look at him like, bro, I have no idea what's going on here. No idea.
Wasn't me.
So that kind of environment where like you're sitting right next to folks, and like there's no separation between like these elite CEOs that are on the 9th floor of the building and everybody else is on the 2nd floor, and like you got to go up in the elevator to like talk to someone and get a decision. Like that's not cool. Right.
So that's kind of the goal, is kind of get the fit for I just feel like there are all these companies, and that I talk to that are just like, oh man, do you know any really good engineers that have worked in e-commerce that, you know, have done XYZ? And you're like, I mean, I do, but if you hadn't met me, how would you have found that person? And that person is able to add a ton of value to your business, which there's nothing more fun than adding a ton of value and learning a little bit along the way as a software engineer, I feel like. And so I just kind of want to help those people find each other, essentially. And so we're just kind of chipping away at it just reminds me of the first time when we were talking about the gaps. I think it was with you and with Kyle. And I don't think it was, I think we had identified one or two and Kyle identified one, where there's like certain gaps in the software engineer lifecycle, right? One is like graduates from code school or computer science program. And then there's like a gap to get them to that first job, right? And then to get from, once they have that job, to get from junior to mid-level, senior-ish, there's kind of a training gap there, right?
Oh, it's a big gap. Yeah, no one is solving that right now. So
right. So there's just these kind of gaps along the way that once you solve one, and that was kind of like the overall optimistic goal when we were working together at Origin, was like, let's start at the 1 yard line, and then just over time we'll just move down the chain basically. And so so after going through the hiring process myself and having my wife go through the hiring process, it was just so, I mean, the weird part is I've surveyed a lot of the Origin grads that now have 3 to 5 years experience, and I've surveyed some buddies that are software engineers. The number one thing that they want in a job search is not to hear back 6 to 8 weeks after the interview, like to hear back in a more timely fashion. And then kind of tied with that is they don't want to take 17 code tests, essentially.
Yeah.
And so you're like, those are such controllable things, right? those are super easy problems to solve versus what we used to have to solve, where it's like, how do I motivate this individual? Right? Like,
and I mean, if you listen to the HR folks, they think like, well, you know, it takes me a while because I have to go back to all these departments and get all these people to approve and sign off on the actual hire. And from day to day, things change. You get like, we want to be absolutely sure this person has all of the skills that they say they have. So like, we have to test them in all these different areas and really make sure they know what they're doing before we bring them on. And it's like, all right, cool. Like, I get that. But at the other side is just like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a company and you're hiring and making those decisions within 4 weeks, and you have maybe like under 3 to 4 rounds, like, you're already getting better talent than everybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just amazing how few people recognize that. Like, I talked to someone last week about the whole, like everyone in the town missing the biggest opportunity, which is like, go to your local code schools, go to every one of them, and go to the instructor that works with the students and be like, psst, let me know who the best person is in your class, and I'll hire the best person out of every one of your classes.
Right.
And like, then I will cut through all of the nonsense. I don't have to pay my recruiter. I don't have to pay a referral fee, none of that. Just tell me the inside on who your best person is. And like, I'll take your best person 100% of the time. And you'll get the top people and then when one school isn't graduating, there'll be another one, and you'll get the top person for that one. They'll be exactly in your cycle. And you know how many times people have like come to me and asked me like, who in your class right now is the top person? Like twice in 4 years. And it's just like, that's a no-brainer. Like, yeah. I've been working with these people for like 4 months. So
I know, it's so crazy. And the other thing that makes it a little unique, and I think the reason they probably didn't ask us and currently aren't asking you as often as maybe they used to, was we're hiring a junior engineer right now at the company I'm at. And so I was like, why don't we just go? I'll just hit up the code school people and ask them. And they were like, no. Don't reach out to this code school, or this code school's like CEO or instructors, because they just will give you anybody. Like they're just trying to get anybody. Like they'll just send you like 20 resumes. And so I was like, wow, maybe it was
so insane, because like we never even considered doing that. Like our rep and like the way you'd want to help someone is like not do that. That's the opposite. It's like, we'll send you 2. I'm not going to send you everybody. I'll send you 2. Right. If you don't like these 2, just give me feedback and I'll find someone that like fits whatever you're asking for. we'll make this super easy. Like,
And
it's
then
not hard.
I would say almost like half the time I got asked, it was like, there's nobody, we don't have anybody that's going to fit what you're looking for right now. Like you're going to need somebody that's a little bit more experienced than one of our grads to get the job done that you're having done. And that's like crazy in this scenario. And this scenario is they're like, cause then these people will never stop reaching out to you and they always want you to come to demo days and they always, so don't even bother emailing them. And I was like, man, that's wild. Right? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, I mean, but a lot of, this is why I think your product is going to be super successful, is because a lot of engineers early on in their career begin to like really not like recruiters and do just about anything they can just to avoid a recruiter.
Yeah.
And the flip side of that is, but they really want an advocate. They want an agent to go out there and like shop for them. And I think we've already had the conversation. Yes. That's called a recruiter.
I was just going to say, oh man, he used the word agent. So just the backstory to that is, well, it was probably like 6 months ago where I was getting a side project for a developer buddy and negotiated like a 2x rate of what he asked for. Just because I had a better idea of the client and he doesn't like to negotiate a lot. And so I immediately called you and was like, dude, I should totally just, instead of be a sports agent, I should just be a developer agent because I feel like I can negotiate so well. Like I know the developers value a lot more than they are willing to negotiate a lot of times. And you're like, you're describing a recruiter right now. I was
Jeff, that's called a recruiter.
I was like, no, I don't want to be a recruiter. I want to be an agent.
Like, all right, cool. But it is interesting that just that label, like if you describe what a recruiter does, everyone will be like, that sounds like what I need. Like I need an agent to go out there and like find the right fit for me and negotiate the best possible terms of like, and so you might call that like a real estate agent, or you might call that like a sports agent. But as soon as you call that a developer agent and you then rename it the recruiter, people are like,
Yeah.
They don't know what the
Yeah,
hell
but also like, I mean, sports agent goes out and talks to all the team and takes all the phone calls and sees what the best positions are. Recruiters aren't doing that most times for developers, right? Or at least it didn't feel that way to me when I went through that process.
Yeah, and I wanted to like be careful to say that there are good recruiters out there, and there are folks that like us really want to help people and are really good at their job. But there are so many terrible ones. Yeah, but there are so many terrible ones. They really drown out the ones that like just by sheer numbers can't cut through all the noise, and like you just have this massive perception that a lot of them are really bad at what they're doing. Like because the ones that are doing the like entry level reach outs are just terrible.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like it's really good and like analogy for that is just like it's like real estate agents. If you have a solid real estate agent, you're going to sell your house for way more money, right? But the problem is that the barrier to entry to say you're a real estate agent is so low that like anyone can say they're a real estate agent, right? So there's going to be a lot of rookie ones that bother you all the time that are not worth the hassle, right?
Yeah.
And so so I feel like it's just kind of like that. It's just like anybody can say they're a recruiter, right? I mean, I almost said I was for sake of argument like 6 months ago for like a week. So but that's kind of the problems that we're kind of chipping away at. And I feel like because of the, like step one will just be find 10, 15, anywhere between 10 and 20 devs and have them go through the platform and kind of watch them do that and get their feedback on this would be more helpful if X, Y, Z, right? Because we already have internally debated between if we should create a resume upload feature. And I was like, whoa, hang on, let's wait and hold on, because maybe we don't need that, right? Like it's kind of, you know how you want to go crazy before that. Well, you personally don't. You're actually really, really good at MVPs. But in general, we just want to talk to like 10, 20 devs, kind of build up all the feature sets so that we can get 50 to 100 devs on there by the end of the year. And then as we're starting to accumulate devs, go to these companies and kind of say, hey, we saw your job post. We have like 25, 30 people that fit this thing that say they're actively looking, and kind of like slow roll it into whatever that turns out to be.
I mean, if there's a way you can scale it and make it a little bit more of like a conversation where it's like, hey, what do you think your challenges are in finding a job? What kinds of things are you looking for? And not have it be like, no one likes like, hey, I gotta like, like, let's say you're a mid-level engineer and you want to change jobs. The last thing you want to do is like dust off your resume and spend time like, oh, I gotta like change this and highlight that, fix that. It'd be so much easier to just like call your agent, right, and say, hey, I'm back on the market. Let's have a quick call about what I've been working on the last 6 months. I'll send you a super old resume, but like it'll be enough for you to like get the gist of what I used to do. I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. And then this is where I really like to be. Like, this is a space I'd like to be in. And if that were enough for you to like set up the profile and start the matching process,
Right.
that would be way, I think, way better for the consumer. Then it's just like the same thing for the employers. They hate doing job postings. They're like, if we can get away from having to like go out and post and pay for the posting and have yet another place that we have to put up and maintain, great. So they're all about like, how do I do the simplest, like ZipRecruiter, whatever the heck it is? Cause like, I really don't want to do this task. They have like no skin in the game in terms of like picking the right thing that's going to get them the right candidates. They're just like, what's the easy button?
Right.
And I want to do that. And like the easy button. And then I'll just like screen calls and automate my resume reader thing to like kick things out with, if they don't have the right keywords. And like, so I feel like if you can hit those pain points, it's like game over. Cause everybody's talking about that at the grassroots level. They're talking about how do we eliminate resumes from the interview process, right? How do we take that away and really focus on experience and what can you do and like all of those things. So I agree. I don't think resume features will be the big one. I think also you don't need a lot of technology. I think it's like literally like, let's have a conversation. Let me figure out like and then it's like a little bit of coaching and a little bit of agenting. And like, I mean, you're Jeff, you're gonna get him a job.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that I'm the most confident in is the fact that the MVP is going to have a lot of holes in it. But if you set the expectation that I will just personally walk you through, and I just set a low enough volume that I can actually walk them through and add value to their lives, then it's just like a momentum thing, right?
Yeah. Then you get all the discovery done and you know
Right.
exactly what the customer, exactly what the
like,
features are to build.
All right, I can automate that part. This part I'm probably going to have to handhold for either indefinitely or figure out a way to streamline this and be able to prioritize real easy on what to be able to build. Because until you get out into the real world, you have no idea. But it's actually pretty sick, I feel like. So I'll demo that for you the next time we have one of these calls. And
all
then,
right, I gotta jump off in like 2 minutes. So
okay, I was going to say, I think my only last thought, 30-second thought is I think after the next one, we should actually start publishing these. And so what we can talk in the next one too is I feel like we should structure it or have like affiliate links or something eventually, or ads of some kind if those ever happen.
Money on the mind.
So,
like
so we should talk through that if we have any ideas, because we talked about a lot of products, even the last one that you're personally using. So as we start to
get those affiliate links.
Oh yeah, why not?
Yeah.
We'll disclose that they're affiliate links, and then we can at least get free lunch maybe someday from the $20 we make. So
yeah. Why not?
All right, that's all I got. You got anything else?
No, I'm good. Although there's one other nugget I'll drop because I don't know that I've had a chance to mention it, but it might tie into this. I'm using this product called Wingman, and it's both freaking people out and super helping my life. So what it basically does is it's designed for like sales coaching. So it can automate the process of transcribing and then give you like pointers on like, you know, the sales manager can go in and review the call and see how it went. But I just purely love the fact that it will automatically jump on to any of my calls and just take the notes. And so afterwards, I can like not have to worry about like, did I miss something during the call or forget an action item or anything? Like I can literally just say, I'm going to use this keyword. And when I use the magic word, it's like cantaloupe or something. It will like highlight that section. And then I'll know like, okay, those are all the key things I got to make sure I deliver after the call. So all I have to do is literally go find like where it highlights it and be like, all right, those are the 4 things I said I was supposed to deliver. Boom, on it. It's going to be like just magical. Because I write notes on pieces of paper, on notebooks, and put a date at the top sometimes. No idea. Never makes it to the CRM.
Yeah,
and it's
correct.
like, And so I'm going to talk to them and see if we can help build, like, they don't have an API that's exposed yet. So we're going to see if we can expose an API, tie it into our CRM stuff. That should be fantastic. But you can leverage something like this to do your interviews and then use like AI to figure out like what are the key things that this person says and like just start scaling it up.